out there, it is time for another commission for my most loyal customer, Techaspike. This one is Predator Hawk. Now, as another official character from the comic book, it's time to get a little bit into his backstory. Predator Hawk used to be a soldier in the Battlebird Armada, and because of his excellent soldiering, he got promoted pretty high, but was frustrated by all the rules and regulations of the organization. That frustration came to a head when Speedy, the Battle Lord's son, got promoted above him because of nepotism, and when he lashed out, he ended up in Battlebird jail for his efforts. He got broken out by the Babylon Rogues, and he rode with them for a while, but eventually he left because the Babylon Rogues were basically a group of thieves. They weren't exactly soldiers, and there just wasn't enough killing in that line of work for his tastes. He would later join up with the Fearsome Foursome and serve under Mammoth Mogul, who used his magic to enhance his flying abilities. He would continue to run with this gang after they became called the Destructics, and he served under a few of the villains over the course of the comic's run, including Dr. Finitivus and even Fiona, who kind of became the de facto leader after Dr. Finitivus was rendered irrelevant in the story. The last time we saw him was in the Prison Break story arc in Sonic Universe, where he helped Scourge break out of Zone Jail and officially joined his gang, seeing what the Green Hedgehog could do for him. Sadly, he's one of the characters that was lost in the Penderpocalypse, as they're nicknaming it, so it's unlikely that we're going to be seeing him for quite a while. It's a bittersweet ending to a pretty scary guy. This dude was a complete sociopath. I mean, the fact that he tried to murder his commanding officer because he felt he deserved the promotion more, that should tell you something about this guy. Okay, I think I was able to keep that intro relatively brief, so let's get into making the actual toy. I've actually been wanting to make a Predator Hawk for a couple of years now, just never had the time. And I always thought that he'd be a relatively simple Jet the Hawk repaint. But I was kind of wrong. Apparently not all hawks look the same. Yeah, just call me a bird racist, huh? It turns out that he has a really different feather pattern from Jet. So, instead of a single mohawk row of feathers, he actually has like a horizontal row, which resembles an Indian headdress more. So I left most of Jet's original feathers, if for anything else than to fill out the back of his head, but sculpted on the new feathers along with the headband that he wears. I also had to sculpt up his beak because Predator has a significantly longer beak than Jet does. I wonder if you can actually gauge what species of hawk they are by measuring the shape of their beaks. That would be interesting. The legs were relatively simple compared to the head. The boot design is actually pretty similar, except that Predator has a strap with a buckle going over the top of them. So quick repaint job later, and Jet's legs into Predator's legs are pretty simple. The hands were a little bit more hard because he's one of those characters with clawed fingertips. So, you gotta sculpt the points on the end of every finger. I really don't like doing that. It's such a tedious little job, and it never looks that great either. It always looks like he just kind of dipped his fingers in like those bugles. Bugles, those chips that are shaped like cones, and you stick your fingers in them. Predator Hawk has feathers on his arms, though, which is something that Jet lacks. So, the feathers are made out of craft foam, and they are attached to the glove cuffs rather than the forearms themselves. This is intentional, as it allows for the wrist articulation to stay, which for this guy, who's always doing threatening poses, is really important. For the body, I cut off the existing tail and sculpted on the bandolier, but that's because I needed to sculpt on a new tail. And remember how I said the feather pattern's different? That includes the tail feathers as well. And painted up, silver bandolier with that light blue feather job. It's looking like his body. So now you've seen all of his components. Let's reassemble him and get a look at the Predator Hawk figure. I really need to get one of those screen thingies to prevent my peas from popping, because I get self-conscious, especially when I have to make a character like Predator Hawk. And I just said so many pee noises, I hope this doesn't sound crappy when I start to play it. Hey, you've probably seen Predator Hawk on the screen right now. Doesn't he just look like the bee's knees? I mean, this guy is cool. He's like one of the best kinds of characters. He looks similar enough to a character that I can easily make him from the existing toys, but unique enough that when you actually see him, I mean, he's awesome. Look at this guy. Predator Hawk is awesome. And guess what? I'm going to be making the rest of the Destructics for this guy, so stay tuned for those dudes.